Shalom, shalom, everybody. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our evening Shabbat class, the closing of the Shabbat on July 11th. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a moment of silence for all the things that the Most High is doing in the earth, and how his hand is turning our captivity for our deliverance from the lands of our enemies. And then we're going to go into a prayer, and then go into our closing Sabbath class. O Lord, we come before thee at the closing of your Shabbat, thanking you for your mercy and great power. We appreciate you, O Lord, for your patience and guidance in these last days. O Lord, we thank you for awakening us to this great understanding of your word. We come before you, keep and direct and guide us through the upcoming week. O Lord, for there are trials, pestilences, and mayhem at every turn. O Lord, we see your mighty hand in the world's affairs, and how you are constructing your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon thee. For this cause, we honor and respect you greatly. Turn not thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of you to find you, O Lord, and to dwell with you. Peace be unto you. Okay. So anybody got any current events or anything that came across from this morning till now? Okay. Well, what I got is I don't know if anybody aware of it, but the Instagram that the guy Deshaun Jackson, the wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, he sent out a Instagram tweet or whatever you want to call it, for talking about what Hitler had said about who the real Jews were, and so it's causing this uproar in the sports world. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it play, and then we're gonna comment on it.
It is Deshaun Jackson's Instagram on his Instagram story. The first two words say Hitler said. Like, by default, bro, you're quoting Hitler straight up. Now, for those of you guys that aren't super educated about the Holocaust, I actually was a tour guide at a Holocaust museum for 2 years when I was in high school. Let me tell you what Hitler did, man, just to summarize it. This is a guy who is responsible for the murder of 11 million people. 11 million people. And 6 million of those people were Jews. 6 million Jews were murdered at the hands of Adolf Hitler. So I just want you to bear that in mind. And then it continues to say, because the white Jews know that the black people are the real children of Israel, and to keep America secret, the Jews will blackmail America. They will extort America. Their plan for world domination won't work if the black people know who they were. The white citizens of America will be terrified to know that all this time they've been mistreating and discriminating and lynching the children of Israel. Now look, to comment on this entire page, any person that has a high school degree could clearly understand what Hitler's trying to do here. He's trying to turn one nation that he really doesn't like, which is black people, against another group of people that he doesn't like, which is Jews. He's trying to persuade the entire world that the Jews are out for world domination, and that's backed up by this scholarly article I found off of JSTOR, which I never thought in my entire life I would use JSTOR for anything else but a essay, but here we are right now. Hitler included blacks with Jews in his autobiography, Mein Kampf, which means My Struggle. He was affected by a worldwide white supremacy movement, which was prevalent prior to World War I, and increased in popularity as a result of the political and economic chaos following the war. In the United States, there was a rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan after the war, with membership reaching millions by the 1920s. Hitler was also greatly influenced by social Darwinism and its propagandists, such as the upcoming eugenicists or race scientists. He rationalized that someone was to blame for his perception of world collapse. Therefore, he liberalized and wealthy Jews as well as supposedly parasitic and ignorant blacks became the scapegoats. Politically, he used them to affect the minds of the white European masses. And Deshaun Jackson, if you happen to be watching this, bro, pay close attention because your boy Microphone's about to give you a nice little history lesson. In the 1920s, around 24,000 black people were living in Germany. African German mixed race children were economically and socially marginalized in German society, and they were not allowed to attend university. Under the Nazis, black people no longer had jobs and were excluded from many aspects of life. And Deshaun Jackson, if it wasn't blatantly obvious, just based off of the fact that Adolf Hitler used a derogatory term for black people in this excerpt, well, pay attention to this part, because by 1937, the Gestapo, which was the Nazi police force, had secretly rounded up and forcibly sterilized many black people. Some were subject to medical experiments, whereas others mysteriously disappeared. That's all you need to know. If Hitler is doing this to black people, clearly he does not have black people's best interests in mind. So quoting the guy that clearly hated your people just because you're taking an out of context excerpt that makes your people look good is not the move. He clearly is just trying to turn two groups of individuals that he does not like against each other. You know why? Because it makes his life easier. The only people that Hitler loved were blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans. That's it, man. That's it. He didn't like anyone else. He thought that was the supreme race. So you're quoting that man because there is so much more. There is so much more that Deshaun Jackson does that is absolutely ridiculous here. Now, if you go to Deshaun Jackson's Instagram page, you'll see a pic of a notorious anti-Semitic preacher by the name of Louis Farrakhan. And Deshaun...
Okay. Comments? Anybody got any comments?
Yeah, they trying to make him sound like that so far, huh?
Right. Yeah. It's the thing about it is that what he's saying is true.
Every single Sunday, I send out a watch list for free of the absolute best stocks that are coming up over the.
Yeah. You say what he's saying is true, right?
Yeah, because they got a history of it saying that they got that. I don't know if anybody saw that, but they thought that report that saying that Hitler had did all this research like he did with everything else. He was going around the world finding all these going all these different places, researching all this different stuff that's supposed to have been legendary or whatever. And so he did a lot of research, and then he found out that the Israelites or the black people in America was the real Jews. And he made a statement saying that America got a serious price to pay because they brought the real Jews over there. They got the real Jews over there in their possession. They got the God of Israel's Jews over there in their possession, and they ain't treating them right. And so evidently, the guy Deshaun Jackson, he didn't came in contact with some Israelites, and they helped waking him up, and he's doing some research. So he felt the need to post that, and it got out that he was that he had posted it, and so now the Philadelphia Eagles have released it.
Isn't that ironic though that we were just talking, last week or this week, whatever it was, about how all the celebrities now coming out of nowhere,
right?
And then this pop up,
right? Yeah, that's something, man. It's like I said, it's it's not a coincidence because, like I said, you can see how they plotting, they leading us in a certain direction because he's losing everything from making this post, so it ain't making no sense, man. And the big one, like I said before, is that Robert Johnson. when he came out with that $14 trillion proposal for reparations. You know, where that come from? And then, you know, you come to find out this the number one person that's in Trump ear. This is who Trump deal with him almost on a regular basis. So, you know, that's going to come to pass because he in a hell of a fix. And you know, he in a hell of a fix, and he got to have the African American vote. So he got to do something extraordinary out of the you know, he got to dig way down and do something that's going to just, you know, overnight change the mind of the black people. Well, they expected for him, and that's the only thing can happen. You're gonna do that reparations and shock everybody, man. Yeah. Is there something?
That's all I had. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what I'm gonna get ready to do now is anybody else got any comments on that video or something they want to say about current events? Okay, I'm gonna read out of Leviticus. You know, like I said, I'm attaching the law, which is the book of Leviticus with the Shabbat. So I try to read from Leviticus at least during one of these Sabbath classes. So I'm in Leviticus chapter 10. Last time I read, and it says chapter 10. It's the sin of Nabal and Abihu. And Nabal, Nabal, and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them of his censers and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered a strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said unto Aaron, This is it that the Lord spake, saying, I will sanctify in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. And Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan and the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, Come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they went near and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses had said. And Moses said unto Aaron and unto Eleazar and unto Ithamar, his sons, Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, lest ye die, and lest wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which the Lord hath kindled. And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. Restriction for the priesthood, verse 8. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when we go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, and that ye may put a difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean, and that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord hath spoken unto thee by the hand of Moses. And Moses spake unto Aaron and unto Eleazar and unto Ithamar, his sons that were left, Take the meat offering that remaineth of the offering of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without the leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. And ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due and thy sons' due of the sacrifice of the Lord made by fire, for so I am commanded. And the waved breast and the heaved shoulder shall ye eat in a clean place, thou and thy sons and thy daughters with thee, for they be thy due and thy sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offering of the children of Israel. The heave offering shoulder and the waved breast shall they bring with the offering made by fire of that fat, to wave it for a wave offering before the Lord, and it shall be thine and thy sons with thee by stature forever, as the Lord have commanded. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, wherefore have you not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy? And God hath given it you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord. Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. Ye should indeed have eaten it in the holy place, as I commanded. And Aaron said unto Moses, behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things have befallen me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord? And when Moses heard that, he was content. Okay, the thing that stuck out to me on when I was reading this was we was talking last night about how who the person was in the let's see Proverbs 31, the king that said his mother was teaching him and all that, and we went back and looked at how most of those kings had married the daughters of the priests, and specifically they had married the daughters of the high priest. And so we're looking at right here, we know the priests are holy, and we know that the Most High has taken them under him to himself. And so that means he's responsible for everything pertaining to them. They raiment, they housing, they food and everything. So when he make a sacrifice, part of that sacrifice is for them, and they have to eat it because it's holy. And then by them eating it, it makes them, they saying they agreeing and they submitting to the fact that the sins of Israel is upon them. They're responsible for it. And it says in verse 17, wherefore have ye not eaten? No, that's not it. It says, it said 15, the heave shoulder and the waved breast shall they bring with the offering made by fire of the fat to wave it for a wave offering before the Lord, and it shall be thine and thy sons with thee by stature forever, as the Lord hath commanded. So this, when they share and eating this, they accepting the responsibility as being the mediators in between Israel and the Lord. And so not only that, just look what he said right here. Now it's not the other 11 tribes that had daughters, but it's the daughters of the Levites. It says right here, and it's crazy that it's in here because we were just talking about it. It says, yeah, it says 13 says, and ye shall eat it. I'm gonna start at 12. And Moses spake unto Aaron and unto Eleazar and unto Ithamar, his sons that were left, take the meat offering that remaineth of the offering of the Lord made by fire. So that's holy. But it's portion of it that's remaineth, that's been cooked. It says, remaining of the offering of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, right there beside the altar. For it is most holy, and ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due and thy sons' due of the sacrifice of the Lord made by fire. For so I am commanded. And the wave breast and the heave shoulder shall ye eat in a clean place, thou and thy sons and thy daughters with thee. So these daughters are Levites. It ain't the daughters of the other daughters of the other 11 tribes. So he says, and thy daughters with thee, for they be thy due and thy sons due, which are given out of sacrifice of peace offering for the children of Israel. So we see right here that these it's Levi's whole house. It ain't just the Levites. but the whole house of Aaron and the Levites are responsible for the sin offering, because these daughters have to eat it too. And so now it makes sense when you see how that they are the king married one of the Levites, married out of the Levites, out of the tribe of Levi. And when you look at that, it's only fitting and proper because of, that's a different type of. The king need a woman that's full of wisdom because of the responsibility that's laid on him. Any comments? Anybody have no comments? Okay, so we're gonna move on forward. Say, where I had stopped off this morning with the title was we was dealing with who are the Essenes and what are they connection with Jesus Christ, and because we had talked about that, we had talked about the Essenes in episode 2 of Uncomfortable Conversation with a non-Messianic Hebrew Israelite. So what my objective is, what I try to do is, because there's maybe some people out there that not familiar with the Essenes, and so I try not to leave no rock unturned. Try to uncover everything. That way, when these topics or these things are mentioned, you got something to reference, and you have some kind of idea of what's going on, because it's very important. So I was telling you earlier that if you go back to the time of when the Herod's temple was built, because and the reason why Herod built the temple, he's an Edomite, and he's king. It's the nation of Edom that stole the land of Israel. It tells you that in the book of Obadiah. So he's the king of the Edomites, but the Edomites is in the land of Israel. They stole the land, and they didn't rename themselves by the name of Israel. They're 12 tribes. They stole the land of Israel by lot, by the 12 lots, and they call themselves by the name of Israel. And the average Israelite don't even know that. A so-called awakened Israelite, they don't know that, because it don't matter if the Gentile know or not. It's cool if you do, but it's of utmost importance that the Israelite, so-called awakened Israelite, descendants of Israel in this day, understand that, because from 143 BC to 70 AD, it was Edomites in the land. Israel was gone. They had been ran out, just as like it was prophesied by Daniel in chapter 8, that a king of fierce countenance was going to stand up at the end of the Greek kingdom, the third beast, and he was going to attack the holy people, and he's going to destroy them and run them out. And it also says that in Daniel 9:25, 26, that after they came back from Babylon, they was going to rebuild the temple, but a prince, the prince that shall come, is going to destroy the temple, which is Zerubbabel's temple, and cause the abomination to make it desert. And that it came to pass just like it was prophesied by Daniel. And so the setting that's going on during the time of when supposedly Jesus, who was aka Caesarion, he's the son of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. And like I said, he was sent away when Augustus Caesar came on the scene. He was adopted son of Caesar. He came in order for him to become Caesar and to rule the Roman Empire. He had to get rid of Caesarion, because Caesarion was the rightful heir. He was the only blood son of Julius Caesar that Cleopatra had, and he was a co-regent in Egypt with his mother on the throne in Egypt. So he had to go. They took 3 legions, and he went there, and he had to kill Julius Caesar. He had to kill Caesarion. He had to kill Mark Antony, and he had to kill Cleopatra. And so on his way there, Cleopatra devised a plan, and she sent him away up into it was Alexandria, Egypt, up in the Caucasus Mountains, with a monastery. monks, city of monks. And so she sent him up there at 12 years old. And then Octavian came and he killed Mark Antony and Cleopatra. And so then he started reigning. He became the Caesar. But 18 years later, at 30 years old, Caesarion showed back up on the scene. But like I said, now he's a monk. So understanding all that, it's the whole land of Israel is covered with Edomites. That's why it's called Edomah, because it's Edomites there, and that's why Herod is the king of the Jews. Is because he's an Edomite, because the land is covered with Edomites. So I'm gonna give you a scripture right quick to confirm what I'm saying. I'm in Daniel chapter 11. I'm gonna start reading at verse 12, but I'm going to verse 14. And like I said before, I didn't write none of this stuff. I'm just reading what the Most High showed me. So Daniel chapter 11. It says, and like I was saying before, the king of the south, people trying to decipher Daniel chapter 11 when and they're trying to decipher in today's geographical geographical landscape of today, but it's not. You got to deal with that according to biblical times, during our forefathers, during the time when it actually happened. So it says 11, and the king of the south shall move with clover. That's Greeks. That's Ptolemy and his lineage. That's in Egypt. That's the king of the south. The king of the south shall move with clover and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given unto his hand. So when you go back and understand that when Alexander died, he divided his kingdom up into 4 sections. King of the south, king of the north, and then you had a king in the west and a king in the east. And in the same situation arose again in the 4th beast during the Roman Empire with Constantine. And the other three guys that was living, the Roman Empire was divided in 4. Constantine subdued the other 3, and he became sole emperor. Well, the same thing is going on right here during the 3rd beast at the end of the Greek kingdom, because Alexander died, and the 3rd kingdom was divided into 4 different parts. It's still the Greeks still ruling, but it's 4 different kings sitting on the throne in 4 different geographical locations. And so it says 12, and when he had taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall be cast down many tens of thousands, but he shall not be strengthened by it. It says, for the king of the north shall return and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. Now here we go. This what I'm talking about, verse 14. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, that's against Ptolemy. Also the robbers of thy people shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, but they shall fall too. So what that verse is telling you, that whomever it was that robbed Israel, they robbed Israel means they stole Israel land. And not only did they steal land, they picked the same vision up that the Israelites had. And so the Israelites came in the land when they left Egypt and occupied the land, and then they built a temple, Solomon's temple. Then Zerubbabel came back and built a temple. Then Antiochus Epiphanes came and decimated that temple. Then the Edomites stole the land. I'm gonna read that to you in a minute, but they stole the land and then they picked the vision up. So what's the vision? They built a temple. Herod built a temple. The Edomites, all Edomites there, and Herod the king over them, but they in the land of Israel. So let's look at where that happened at. I'm in Obadiah. Obadiah chapter, it's only one chapter, and so it says we commanded right here in this chapter to Most High speaks of a robber. That's the robber of Israelites in Daniel chapter 11 verse 14. So it says, I'm gonna start at verse 1 so I can make it plain. Obadiah chapter 1 verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus says the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us go up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart have received thee. Thou that dwelleth in the cliffs of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. So what he's talking about right here, you exalt yourself as the eagle. It's a contingent of Edomites that Esau had a son called Zephno, and Zephno ended up becoming the Greeks, the Macedonians chose him to rule over them. So it's the head of this Macedonian army is Edomites. Alexandria is an Edomite. His father Philip was an Edomite, and Philip's father was Zephno, the Edomites. So this is the reason they in the Middle East. They ended up in the Middle East because they Edomites. They came from that land. They came from the Middle East. They came from Israel. They sons. Esau is the son of out of the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, just like Jacob is. He's out of Abraham and Isaac lineage, just like Jacob is. It's just that it's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which are Israelites, and then you got Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, which are Edomites. And the Most High told them that when they was born, 2 nations shall come forth out of Rebekah's womb, Edomites and Israelites. So these Edomites stole the land, and so they went, sent an ambassador and a group of people to the Greeks, and with the intent to build an army to come back to the Middle East, to steal a land. He's under the impression that Jacob usurped him and got the blessing and got the blessing and got the birthright. So they came back to the land, but the thing is that Alexandria didn't want to go to the Middle East when he got there. He didn't want to go to Judah and attack them. So a bunch of Edomites got together, Bartholomew, one of them, and they poisoned him and they killed him. That's how he died. But they tell you he died from alcohol poisoning, but they poisoned him. And when you go to the 29th dynasty, that's all they doing. Everybody afraid to take the drink and eat or whatever. If they royalty in the 29th dynasty of Egypt, they on their toes because everybody trying to vying for to be the Pharaoh, and they poisoning each other, killing each other. So anyway, so it says, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, Esau had intermingled with the Edomites, with the Macedonians. And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, says the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came unto thee, would they not leave some grapes? So Israel is Jacob, and his 12 sons is vine. And each and every male that's in the land of Israel is a grape. So robbers came to the vineyard, and the Most High is asking them, if robber just was in need, he'd have got what he needed and left. But this robber got issues with the people, so he didn't leave no grapes. So verse 6 says, how are the things that Esau searched out? How is hidden things sought out? So he tell you in verse 6 who it is that robbed Israel. Esau robbed him. He don't want nobody there because he wants the land. And we're going to see that. So it says, all the men of the Confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that are at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau? Okay, And then go to verse 10, and we're going to see what it is that they done and how they done it, and how they got the land. Verse 10 says, thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, foreigners entered into his gates, cast lots upon Jerusalem. Like I just said, they 12 lots. And when Antioch Epiphanes, the prophecy that Daniel had told them, prince that was going to come in Daniel 9:26 and destroy the Jerusalem, it's coming to pass right here. It says, foreigners entered into your gates, cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. Esau was one of them, he's with them. But thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger, neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. That's the prophecy in Daniel 9:26, that a prince was going to come and cause the abomination of desolation. It says, neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress. Thou should not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou should not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. And so the Most High mentions up in verse 5 about the grapes. And if it was just a thief that was in need, he would have only took what he needed. He wouldn't have wiped the whole vineyard out. So 14 says, neither should thou have stood in the crosshairs to cut off those that did escape. Neither should thou have delivered up those that did remain in the day of distress. So what is he talking about? The Most High, being the righteous God of the earth, every time he deal with Israel, when he punished them and send them into captivity, he always leave a remnant there for the people to know that he's going to return them back to the land. So he leave a remnant there. In every instance, all the captivities, he left a remnant. But right here, Esau knew that because he was raised by Abraham and Isaac also. And so what he did was, because he wanted the land, he didn't want no grapes there. He didn't want no Israelites there that could continue with them about what their intentions was. Because they wanted to build a temple. So they killed the remnant. And that's what the Most High talking about in verse 5. The thieves came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? So Esau killed the remnant. Right? So let's go back to Daniel chapter 11 right quick. I'm going to go into my lesson. I had to do a little introduction. So Daniel chapter 11, verse 14 says, and in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, also the robbers of thy people. That's Esau. We just saw that in Obadiah. The robbers of thy people. Then he goes on to say, shall exalt themselves to establish the vision that Herod them built. These Edomites built the temple, just like Solomon and Zerubbabel did. And then, but he says, but they shall fall. So what is he talking about when he say they shall fall? When Solomon built their temple, Solomon fell. It caused the 10 tribes to be split up. The 10 tribes split from the other three, from Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And then they ended up in Babylon. The 10 tribes ended up in Assyria, and the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, ended up in Babylon. Then they came back, and they built Zerubbabel. He had Zerubbabel build a temple. They picked back up what they sin against the Most High, and he sent Antioch Epiphanes. And when Antioch Epiphanes came, the whole time, Esau and his descendants got a vendetta against the Israelites, because they feel like the land and the birthright was taken from him because he was born first. So when the opportunity presented itself right here from this prophecy in Daniel 9:26 and 27, they stole the land and they built the temple. But just like the southern and the northern kingdom fell, the Most High say they're gonna fall. So when did they fall? 70 AD. And then they was, and I'm gonna show you that right quick. I showed you this in the uncomfortable conversation with a non-basic Israelite, but I'm gonna show you right here again, because you can't expound on it enough. Let me set this up right quick. Gonna take me a minute. Okay, hold on 1 minute. Yeah, like I was saying, these when you go back and do your research, you're gonna find out that these Israelites, they went in one direction because it's two different migrations happen. You're dealing with two different type of people. The Most High said that two manner of people is gonna come out of Rebecca's womb, and one will be stronger than the other one. So we're gonna look at that because so right here, I was showing you how what the Most High predicted in that Antioch Epiphanes was gonna come, and Antioch Epiphanes came, and he destroyed the sanctuary, Zerubbabel's sanctuary, the real second temple, and the Israelites fled. He go they rock, they fled, and they fled here. They went in this direction, and they went into Africa, where they remained, and a lot of them still there right to this day because the prophecy of being scattered over the whole world is pertaining to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, because they was the ones responsible for the scene. They the ones responsible for the direction of the tribes when it comes to the commandments of the Most High and His law. They was the head. They were responsible. So the scene was on them, and they the ones who were scattered. So in 70 AD, I mean, during the time of 1619, the prophecy overtook them. Deuteronomy 28 and 68, that the ships was gonna come and get them, and took them and scattered them. As you see right here, they left. But you also had these people here. They stole the land that I just broke down for you. They stole the land, and they picked the vision up. They built a temple, Herod's temple. Well, in 70 AD, they was kicked out. And you go to route they went right here. All these Jewish settlements all around the Mediterranean, which is the four beasts. Set up this, but they were sent right here. These are Sephardic Jews. These Israelites. They call Sephardic because they're Spanish Jews. So who was these Spanish Jews? Columbus, one of them. Isabella is one of them. The queen that sent them out with the three ships. They got curses on them, just like Israel got curses on them. He said because of what they done. He said the Most High said because of the hatred that you have for your brother, blood is gonna follow you. So all these places where they was at, they got kicked out. Anybody that know the story about these Jews, they're not Israelites. Everywhere they went, because of they have abomination with them where they doing usury, and the Most High commanded them through Abraham, Isaac, that usury you can't use usury. It's abomination to him. But these people here, they go to every country they go to, they set up shop and start lending money to people. The next thing you know, that country broke and they got all the money. So the people figured it out and they start kicking them out and killing them. That's what Hitler was doing. So because of that, they have this quest. They're trying to find a land where they can go to, they call their own, because they got these curses on them. And that's how this whole thing been going under the radar up to this point, because of these curses that's on them is similar to the ones that's on the Israelite. And so, like I said, they was in Spain. And Queen Isabella, which is is a direct descendant out of Herod, because Herod's descendants that was in Jerusalem at the time that built the temple. Herod's temple was given safe passage by the Romans, and the orders came from Rome, and they was given safe passage to Spain. That's why Columbus and Isabella is there. They're not the Israelites. So these three ships are sent out. They're trying to find a land they can go to. They got Most High on their back. Got these curses on them. Blood following them everywhere they go. That's why Hitler was killing them, because the Most High then already ordained it. Okay? And so, like I said before, we see it's two different manner of people, like the Most High said. His people that disobeyed him was kicked out, and they went this route back in 143 BC. And Esau that stole the land in the book of Obadiah, and he lived there for, we know, at least a couple of centuries. And then in 70 AD, like the prophecy said, they was going to pick the vision up. They built the temple, but they was going to fall too. In 70 AD, they was ran out by Titus and Vespasian. So I said all that to say this, okay? The topic that I'm dealing with is who are the Essenes and what they are, what's their connection to Jesus Christ. And I will explain to you that who Jesus Christ was, because the 29th dynasty of Egypt was Edomites. The Ptolemaic dynasty. The father of the 29th dynasty was Bartholomew, one of the 4 generals that Alexander had divided his kingdom up with. So when you understand who that 29th dynasty is, what Jesus is the direct descendant out of that dynasty, because his mother is Cleopatra. She's Edomite, and so that's his lineage. But like when you understand what these people have done, they done took the and they done flipped everything all around, and now they come in the book of Matthew and put right out the gate they put stick him in David's lineage, because the Most High chose David as a Messiah, as his Messiah. When Samuel anointed him, he told him, anoint him, he the one. This is my Messiah right here. So in order to get him into the Old Testament, they had to stick him into David's lineage. But we, like I said before, he's not in David's lineage. So, which brings me to the topic of this class, which is who are they scenes and what are their connection with Jesus Christ. So I'm gonna read you some a little history, and like I said, you can do your own research too. But I'm gonna read you a little history on these Essenes, because these Essenes are that 29th dynasty that was in Egypt. When they came in and subdued the Egyptians, these Edomites started learning the ways and the laws and all that stuff that the Egyptians had that was pertaining to. There's a cult that was surrounding the Pharaoh, and it was called the priest of Moon. And so these Edomites learned that priesthood. They learned the order of the priesthood. It's like I said, it took 50 years to become a priest in Egypt. And so when the 29th dynasty was toppled by Augustus Caesar, he came over there, he scattered them. And like I said before, they ended up on the West Coast. They ended up on the Dead Sea, which is in those caves in Qumran. And these are the Essenes. And so you had it's all Edomites in the land of Israel from 143 BC all the way to 70 AD. It's Edomites there, and they synchronize and everything, and they absorb, and they got a problem with circumcision. They don't want to be circumcised on their privates, which is the covenant with the sign for the covenant with the Most High. They don't want to deal with that. They want to live and intermingle with the Romans, and that's the spirit of Esau from his conception. They didn't want to deal with the Most High no kind of way. That's how we get in Christianity. That's why Paul and all of them saying what they saying, because they didn't picked up this new concept that these Essenes and brought on the scene. So let me start reading some of this stuff about them. It says the Essenes are the mystery holy men behind the Dead Sea Scrolls. It says the Essenes were a Jewish sect that flourished around the end. Notice the timeline. This is what so many people don't do. The Essenes were a Jewish sect that flourished around the end of the second temple, between the 2nd century BC and the 1st century AD. That put them dead right into Jerusalem in 70 AD, when you understand this. And so it says the main source of information regarding the religious group has been the writings of Flavius Josephus. So like I said before, we got 95, 96, 97% of the so-called awakened Hebrew Israelites referencing Josephus. But Josephus is an Edomite. And so if you want to know the truth of the matter, then go to the people that was there. They're gonna tell you. You just gotta have the right mindset. And you gotta be thinking like a Hebrew. So it says the main source of information regarding this religious group has been the writings of Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian who lived during the 1st century AD. Their scenes were also mentioned by Philo of Alexandria. That's another Edomite that they reference. But these are Edomites. He's Philo of Alexandria. Well, who built Alexandria? Who built Alexandria, Egypt? Alexandria. Edomite, Macedonian Edomite. Okay, and the whole city is awash with Macedonians and Edomites. They done intermingle together. That's why they call them Edom. So it says, an Hellenistic Jewish philosopher. Hellenistic. So Hellenistic means synchronized. They done synchronized the Greek religion with the religion that's in the land and that's in Egypt. So the Egyptian Book of the Dead then been synchronized with Zeus and the teachers of Socrates and Plato and all of them have been Hellenized. It says, who are contemporary of Josephus. In several paragraphs of his work, as well as the writings of the Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder. That's another Edomite. Keep that in mind. Apart from these authors, ancient rabbinical sources rarely talk about their scenes, and this group does not appear in the New Testament at all. They can't appear there because you don't know what's going on. If they mention their names, it says the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in the middle of the 20th century has increased what we know about the Jewish sect as the Essenes have been credited with the authorship of the body of this body of text. Nevertheless, this long-held theory has been challenged by sources of scholars. So we see the Most High hand at work when these Dead Sea Scrolls was uncovered, because once they was uncovered, they couldn't hide the fact that this group right here existed and that all the wording and the ideology fit right on in place with the New Testament. Right? So it says, Pliny the Elder on the Essenes way of life. According to Pliny, the Essenes lived on the west of Ephrata, which is the Dead Sea, and sufficiently distanced to escape its toxic exhalation. The Roman author adds that below this people were formerly the town of Ingata. Pliny also provides some information about the Essenes way of life. So when they say the way, talk about these Essenes, in case you didn't know that. It says, he wrote that they were a people that lived apart from the world, a mysterious, a marvelous beyond all others throughout the whole earth, for they had no women among them. To sexual desire, they are strangers. Money they had none. The palm trees are their only companion. Pliny goes on to say that the community increased in size by accepting those driven thither to adopt their usage by the tempters of fortune and wearied with the miseries of life. In this way, through thousands of ages, incredible to relate, this people eternally prolonged its existence without a single birth taking place there. So what we see right here, the Most High, is a natural thing for a man and a woman to get together and reproduce, because that's what the Most High told them. Be fruitful and multiply. So they're doing just the opposite. So there's something going on with them. Something ain't right about them. So he says they fighting the natural way, the natural essence that the Most High put in them, in man. It says he wrote that they were a people that lived apart. Okay, I read that. So anyway, said a more extensive treatment of the Essenes is found in the works of both Flavius Josephus and Philo of Alexandria. According to the former, the Essenes were one of the three main philosophical sects among the Jews, and the other two being the Pharisees and Sadducees, both of whom were mentioned in the New Testament. The name given to the Jewish sect is said to be derived from the Greek word helosis, which means holy. So, like I was saying, we watched that documentary on the Edomite that was talking about the Essenes and how that he had all these different names given that they had put upon themselves that used to be upon the Levites, but they didn't usurp the Levites and they didn't put all this upon themselves. And so it says that notice how they didn't put the word holy on attached to themselves. It says, and then it says, and also like he said, we know from the New Testament about the Pharisees and Sadducees, but we know nothing about their sins. So right there tells you something going on with the New Testament right there, because you saying that you get the average theologian or somebody that's been in seminary, they're going to tell you that these 66 books are all you need. The truth of the Most High Word is all in these 66 books. Well, where the scenes at? If it's so true, why the scenes ain't in there? With the uncovering of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we know now that they was there, and we saw on the image where they had a door specifically for them to go in and out of the temple in Herod's temple. Let me see that. It's not that up here. Yeah, it's up here. Hold up. So we see right here, this Herod's temple right here. And they got a gate right here, a scene gate. Right, you come in the back door of Herod's temple. They come in, they got all access to Herod's temple. But they ain't mentioned. But they're not mentioned in the New Testament. Well, it's a dead cat on the line. Okay, so and it says right here, both Josephus and Philo agree with Penny's description of the Essenes' way of life. In Josephus' Jewish wars, for instance, the Essenes are said to reject pleasure as an evil, but esteem continuance and the conquest over the passions of their virtue. The Jewish historian goes on to say that although the Essenes are not in favor of marriage, they do not absolutely deny the fitness of marriage and the succession of mankind thereby continue, but they guard against the lasciviousness behavior of women and are persuaded that none of them preserve their fidelity to one man. Like Penny, Josephus wrote about the poverty of their Essenes. These men are despisers of riches. This is also seen in their approach toward maternal necessities such as clothing. Okay, and they do not allow the change of raiment or shoes until be first torn to pieces or worn out by time. Josephus added that the Essenes practiced collective ownership and shared all their worldly possessions. So what you seeing and what you witnessing and back door to the priesthood that's in the Vatican, and through over the ages, especially recently, we understand they like little boys. They're homosexuals. The Greeks is homosexual. I'm not saying something that that's already known. The Greeks is homosexuals. So this is why they doing this. They homosexuals. That's why they don't want to deal with no women. They give the little boys. That's what that is. So anyway, this communal ownership was extended as well as the Essenes from outside the local community, as Josephus report. If any of these sects come from other places, was they have lives open for them, just as if they were their own, and they go into such as they never knew before, as if they had been ever so long acquainted with them. It says that as for the proliferation of the Essenes community, Josephus' account does not completely agree with the one provided by Penny, while the latter mentioned that the Essenes mentioned their numbers by accepting those who came to join them. Josephus wrote that the Essenes chose out other persons, children. See that? Children, while they are pliable and fit for learning, and esteem them to be of their kindred in form and according to their own manners. See, so they gazed. Both Philo and Josephus estimated that the Essenes had as many as 4,000 followers during their time. The two Jewish authors also differ from Penny's regarding the places where the Essenes lived. Philo wrote that the Essenes were found in Palestinian Syria, more specifically in many cities of Judea and in many villages and groups in great societies of many members. As for Josephus, he stated that they have no one certain city, but many of them dwell in every city. So let's look at that, because ain't that what the Levites did? Moses said he brought the Levites unto himself, and then Levites would go out, groups of them to every city in each tribe, in order to facilitate the people and to teach them. So this is what they're doing, the same thing. They didn't usurp the Levitical priesthood, and that was a reason for in Obadiah to kill the remnant, because they didn't want no Levites there. They didn't want nobody there. They wanted to usurp their own authority, and that's exactly what they did. And that's the origins of the New Testament. This is how it came about. Okay, it says from Josephus we learn also about the religious observances of the Essenes. As Jews, the Essenes were monotheists and believed in one God. Nevertheless, they are noticeably different from their Jewish brothers in a number of ways. As an example, Josephus highlights their extraordinary piety toward God. For before the sun rises, they seek not a word about profane matters, but put up certain prayers which they have received from their forefathers, as if they made a supplication for its rising. The community would then work until the 5th hour, after which they would have a communal meal. Josephus' detailed description of the meal was as follows. They assemble themselves together again into one place, and when they have clothed themselves in white veils, they then bathe their bodies in cold water, and after this purification is over, everyone are met together in an apartment of their own, into which it is not permitted to any of another sect to enter, while they go after a pure manner into the dining room and into the certain holy temple, and quietly set themselves down, upon which the baker lays them loaves in order. The cook also brings a single plate of one sort of food and set it before every one of them, but the priest says grace before the meal, and it is unlawful for anyone to taste the food before the grace is said. The same priest, when he have dined, says grace again after meat, and when they begin and when they end, they praise God as he that bestowed their food upon them. Okay, so now it's the initiation into the community. Josephus also mentioned that a person who intends to join the Essenes is not admitted immediately, but it is first required to live in the same manner as the community for a year. During this period, he is still excluded from the community, but is given a small hatchet, a girdle, and a white garment. If the person proves that he is able to observe the Essenes' way of life during that period, he is made a partaker of the waters of purification, but is not admitted into the community yet. The candidate is required to go through another probation period of 2 years before being admitted into the Essenes community. One last act that the candidate must do is to swear a number of oaths, which are as follows. He will exercise piety toward God, then he will observe justice toward men, and that he will do no harm to anyone, either to his own accord or by the command of others. That he will always hate the wicked and be assistant to the righteous, but he will ever shew fidelity of all men, and especially to those in authority, because no one obtains the government. Okay, and so okay, I'm gonna read this right here. It's a new insight into this. New insight into the Essenes from the Dead Sea Scrolls, and then I'm gonna open up for questions. The Dead Sea Scrolls, known as the Qumran cave scrolls were first discovered in 1947 in a cave in Wadi Qumran on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea in the West Bank. It is generally accepted that the discovery was first made by a Bedouin goat sheep herder named Muhammad. The story goes that when Muhammad threw a rock into a cave to drive out his missing animals, the project shattered. The project shattered, it popped, and it opened his curiosity, and he entered the cave. Muhammad found several ancient jars that held scrolls written in linen, and the scrolls soon came to the attention of scholars, and subsequently around 850 documents were discovered in 11 caves in and around Qumran. The documents of the Dead Sea Scrolls deal with a variety of topics. About 30% of the documents are fragments from the Hebrew Bible. 25 are from traditional Israelite texts, not in the canonical Hebrew books. So we see right here, this is synchronization right here. They got bits and pieces from the Tanakh. We got bits and pieces from other places. So what they're doing in these caves is synchronizing. This is the origins of Christianity. It says another 30% contain biblical comments and the text dealing with the beliefs, regulations, membership requirements of a certain Jewish sect. The latter includes the community rules known as the discipline scroll or manual of discipline and the rule of congregation. The last 15% of the document remain unidentified. It says the Dead Sea Scrolls pose many questions that have yet to be answered, one of them being its authorship. The dominant theory until the 1990s at least states that the documents were written by the Essenes. This is supported by the number of arguments. For instance, the community rules contain the description of the initiation ceremony of new members, which bears striking similarities to Josephus' account of the Essenes initiation ceremonies. Okay, so in addition, both community rules and Josephus talk about the communal ownership practiced by the Essenes. Furthermore, at the site of Qumran, water cisterns were found during the excavation, and these may have been used for ritual bathing. This baptism. Like I say, you don't see nobody being baptized in the Old Testament. An important aspect of the Essenes' religious life. Some scholars also believe that Qumran was the Essene settlement mentioned by Pliny the Elder. Apart from the similarities between Josephus' description of the Essenes and the content of the communal rules, the Dead Sea Scrolls provide further information about the sect, assuming it was indeed the Essenes who wrote them. For instance, the document known as the War of the Sons of Light against the Sons of Darkness, known as the War Scroll, provides an insight into the eschatological views of the Essenes. Okay. So, with that being said, anybody got any questions or comments on what I was just sharing?
Yes. Leonard, did you read anything where the Essenes attached themselves to Enoch? They claim to be
they attached themselves to Enoch by they had the book of Enoch with them. So, like I was saying, they Greeks. So they got. I just read where he said that they had 30% of the Tanakh. Then they had 15% of other books. That's Jasher and these other books that they don't. The most important books that brings enlightenment to the Israelite. They don't want you. They for years, for centuries, we had no access to those books because we know that in the book of Enoch is the son of man. So they made Jesus the son of man. So you can't give the world the book of Enoch if Enoch is the son of man. So we had no access to the book of Enoch because you would read that and see that where Jesus came from. Because now all of a sudden Jesus is the son of man. And he Johnny come lately.
Right.
Enoch, Adam, and Enoch then came, and Noah then came. How in the hell he the son of man? He Johnny come lately. Yeah.
And I think that was Enoch. Enoch is the son of man. 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 Enoch And I just, I just look back at my notes from seminary, which I know is skewed. So the other thing they said is that the Essenes have their roots in Egypt with the 18th dynasty, and they were known as a brotherhood. And the person that wrote the rules for the brotherhood of the Essenes was actually um, Pharaoh Akhenaten,
Not
Akhenaten,
right.
and and that they were the Essenes are said to have existed from time immemorial, which is totally false.
Right. So when you get the information and you write it divided, there wasn't no white folks in the Middle East till Alexander came. So
Mm-hmm.
so they came on the scene during the 29th dynasty, and that's how they got access to the priesthood of Egypt, and they attached themselves to those other dynasties by the
Mm-hmm.
information, just like they attached themselves. They wasn't there with Noah and Shem and all them, but when they got access to our records because of Antioch Epiphanes, they attached themselves to the documents.
Right, because they, also, one of the things they told us is that the Essenes actually saw themselves as the chosen ones
Right.
that was spoken of in the Tanakh, and I'm like, really?
After they read that and found out after they found out our language and read our language, then they just took that and put it on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was of the utmost importance that they killed the remnant. They couldn't have no Levites there, or no original Levites there, because they would have usurped that.
Mm-hmm.
So they killed the remnant. So then they got the records and they went over them and over and over them, and they just synchronized it like they did everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
And
just
then,
synchronized God. That's the thing about the reason why the Most High is so pissed off, because they synchronized the other gods, which was these other gods are idols.
mm-hmm.
But they came in and treated him the same way, like he an idol.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and covered him over like they did the rest of it. They had no respect. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
when the punishment comes, it's no mercy. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, when you understand that there ain't no mercy, where the hell all this stuff comes from in the New Testament? About turning the other cheek and all that. Y'all ain't turning no other cheek.
Right.
The host ain't turning no other cheek. He said this war gonna be bathed in blood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like you turn no cheek to me.
Mm-hmm.
No forgiveness. Come on.
Right. And so, Leonard, so before they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay, what did we find out new about the Essenes after finding the scroll? What was the most important thing that we found out new about the Essenes after the Dead Sea Scrolls were found that we did not know from Josephus and Philo of Alexander?
Well, when, like I was saying on the video that I had everybody watch about the guy that was talking about the sons of light, if you watch it, you see they kept had him out in the wilderness, out and you look at the area, it's the Dead Sea. You could even in one of those images, you can see the caves, the Qumran up in the background, up on the cliffs. So ain't that where John the Baptist was at when they found him?
Mm.
So that's how we connected. And then what John the Baptist was doing, I just read where it said they didn't believe in no changing of garments. They didn't really believe in clothes. So what was John the Baptist wearing? He's wearing old piece of regular clothes wrapped around him, and he was eating locusts. That comes from the community. He came directly from that community. And so what happened? When Caesarion, when you understand who Jesus was, when he came from the monastery up in the Himalaya mountains, he came straight to Judea. Well, who he meet? John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
They out there in Qumran.
Right. And then John the Baptist baptized him.
Yeah, he baptized him. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said they had The only garment they really cherished was they had a white garment that all of them wore. And we know where that come from. That's what the Most High told Moses and Aaron to get Levites. It was a white linen garment to wear when they minister to the people. That's where they getting all this from. Yeah. And then they baptizing because that's what they did in Egypt. They cherished the waters of the Nile River. They worshiped the Nile River. So the Pharaoh and all the elite and the priesthood was constantly going down to the water at the Nile, dipping themselves in it and baptizing themselves in the Nile. So all they did is synchronize all that.
Right.
That's what Christianity is. Yeah.
Okay, one last thing, Leonard. So one of the things we did in seminary was we went to Psalm 104 because the professor said that Psalm 104 was an older creation story and it excelled the creation story in Genesis chapter 1, and that it was referring to the Pharaoh Akhenaten, and that it was Psalm 104 was not written by anyone from it was not written by a Hebrew. You know how we associate Psalms with David. Well, they're saying that Psalm 104 is an ancient creation story, and it was referring to the Pharaoh Akhenaten, and it's older than Psalms 1, and it was because the Pharaoh and the Essenes, of course, were ancient bearers of light and truth.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really don't see that because it says, I'm reading the first 4 verses. Bless the Lord. We know who that is. Oh, my soul. Oh, Lord, my God. Thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who covers thyself with light as with a garment, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire, who laid the foundation of the earth, that it should be removed forever. So they don't sound like Akhenaten. They don't sound like no Akhenaten to me.
Right. Just they were saying that because they said, you know how it says in there about light. They're saying that
Right.
Akhenaten was the pharaoh that actually set up the Brotherhood of the Essenes and actually wrote the rituals and the laws, and they saw him as the God, the bearer of light. Well, that's what they said. Of course, I had many questions, but
Right.
that's the kind of stuff that they introduced to us. And then, of course, they thought Josephus was the greatest historian of all Jewish culture or Greek, or
Yeah.
in
Well, now you see why. Because of all they've been we've been hoodwinked up to this point because Josephus is an Edomite. And so all they doing is lifting up, like I said, they lifting up their people, just like we know that Job was an Edomite. And then so now they done lifted their people up and then denigrated ours. Like they say, Joseph, Jacob, a usurper. Moses is a drunk. He can't wait to the water recedes so he got drunk and he's drunk in the tent when he get molested. But the truth of the matter is that ain't even the story. And then the Most High tell us that Moses was perfect in his generation. That's the reason why he was chosen to make the ark. What is it? Is he perfect in his generation or he a drunk? So we see that what they did through deception, they got you worshiping their people and got you suspicious of your own people. Like they want you to make you think that David is something wrong with David. But when you tell the average person, the average Christian, about David coming back. And the first thing, he did all kind of stuff. How he coming back and doing something? Because of the way you learned this. You was taught through deception. And that's why you know what to say. But I'm going to show you something right here to show you these are scenes at work. Okay, go to like I said, this is Buddha, the Buddha. That's what it was a community that was following Alexandria that left Macedon, left Greece. He had something like 200,000, a contingent of 200,000 Greek people with him. So every time he would stop in the country and conquered, he'd leave some of them there. That's what Hellenistic is. As they go on, they synchronize and everything. Every country they conquer, they synchronize and they Greek philosophy and Zeus and they guard with the gods that's there.
So, and Hellenize it.
Yeah, they Hellenize them. So and that lasted for a long time. So by the time they got to when they got to India, where Alexander died and his conqueror had stopped it, that's Buddhism. So there's a whole long history of these Greeks that synchronized their religion with Buddha. That's the way. That was the way that they talk about when Paul knocked off his horse and he tell him to go to a street called Straight. They were dealing with that. So these Buddhists, they got hooked up with the Tanakh. That's how you get Christianity. But the original thing, what they were caught up in when they was in Alexandria, Egypt, was Buddhism. They had synchronized their religion with Buddhism. That's why when you go back, you got to go back and all this stuff. You have to go back and research it because you got to get you a book on the like Sandaka. That's the Buddha. Sandaka was a Buddha, and read the life of Sandaka. And so what he did was once he sit down under this Jupiter tree. And he got it light. He had been everywhere, starving himself. And then finally he got it. He figured it all out. Then he started going all these different places on the side of these mountains, preaching and teaching. Ain't that what Jesus doing?
Right.
So he on the side of a mountain preaching. That's what Sandaka did. So they synchronize all this. So let me show you this. So anyway, so if you go to the main culprit is these people were priests of Amun in Egypt. And they ended up out on the Dead Sea, and then they started dealing with the Tanakh. And so the god that was in Egypt was let me get it. Was Amun. Amun, right? So every one of the New Testament books, if you go to the end of it, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. I'm at the end of end of the book of Titus. Right. At the very end, it say Amun, amen. They say amen, but it's Amun.
Right.
And you don't see that. You don't see that in the Old Testament. You don't see that. You don't see that at the end of the books because these books right here they synchronized. These were plagiarized books, and they put it at the end of Amun. They know Amun at the end of none of the books in the Old Testament because the Lord of Hosts is the God in the Old Testament. Amun is the God in the New Testament. God was tied to Horus. Right. Zeus. Right. And they've been Jesus is the synchronization of Horus and Zeus. And Mithras and Attis. All of them is what we're going to deal with in the third episode of uncovering uncomfortable conversation with a Hebrew Israelite. Now it may sound like Hebrew Israelite.
Also, Leonard, you know how Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh, right?
Right.
And so one of the I don't remember this class discussion, but I just have a note here that says Moses is said to have been a pupil of and I can't say that name, Akhenaten, that because Moses was raised in the house of Pharaoh, that he had some dealings with the Essenes, with that Essene culture. I don't remember why.
They wasn't. That's somebody don't know what they're talking about because they weren't Essenes at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They was a priest of Amun.
Right. Well, I guess they were saying because the Pharaoh Anakhtun was the one that set up the brotherhood of the Essenes for the 18th dynasty.
Right. He set that up, but it wasn't called Essenes. The Greeks, when they got hold to it, they're calling it Essenes because they got hold to the Holy Bible. They got hold to they got hold to the Tanakh.
Okay,
So
when Moses was
now they have more knowledge that they synchronized into what Akhenaten had already. Akhenaten and those previous pharaohs had done. They synchronized all that once they got hold to the Tanakh.
And so they the other thing is it says here they were also called sons of the sun, sons of the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And so
that's what I mean by when you get into these type of conversations, then I don't know nobody else that can do it, but you go to Malachi based on what you just said, and it's like you can the Most High take you all the way back in 3,000 years ago, and you catch the culprit, you can catch him rightly. Let's go to Malachi chapter 4. You got it?
Malachi 4.
Yeah. Verse 2. I'm gonna read it. It says, "But unto you that fear my name shall the Son, S-U-N." See that? So I take you all the way back in time and you catch it right here.
Exactly.
He wrote son in there, and they so ignorant they weren't smart enough to just change it to an O. And see that the culprit had a misprint. Because there's no way that was S-O-S-U-N.
Right.
So the son, because you in Egypt.
Right.
The person that done this was dealing with Egyptology and the Egypt religion. Yeah.
And so is okay. So this one more statement. Okay. So it says the Egyptians and the Egyptian thought and the Hebrew thought together with the brotherhood of the Essenes, they had many things in common until Israel went into captivity in 586 BC.
Okay. That 586 BC was when they went into Babylonian captivity.
Okay.
Right. But like
So
I said, Akhenaten is the one that came up with in Egypt. He came up with the one God. One God. The Egyptians was dealing with all type of a pantheon of gods. And so my thing to that is once like I said, all this stuff start coming together once you in the presence of the right person and getting the right understanding. So when you understand that in the beginning, when the Most High was doing all this creating and all that, he had 7 angels with him.
Yeah.
And we know how these 7 angels would show up. So that's what the people saw. They saw a pantheon of gods. So what came down? What these wicked angels do to the Ham and Ham descendants when they appeared to them? Because Genesis chapter 6 happened in Egypt. It was a group of angels came down to these Egyptians, to these Africans. They simulating the 7.
Okay.
A group of them came down. So that's why Egypt had a pantheon of different gods. They had one for all the different type of stuff.
Okay.
And they did the same thing to the Greeks. The Greeks got a pantheon. That's because they're dealing with more than one angel. They came down. Right. And they saw they witnessed them doing all kind of supernatural stuff that regular men don't do. But it was more than one of them. Yeah. So that's where that's coming from.
So in short, the Essenes were did the same thing that Esau and the people that he joined in league with, they all are against the Hebrews.
Right. But Esau, what Esau did was, like I said, Esau got the knowledge of Abraham dealing with the knowledge of Melchizedek that was passed down by those and the Diluvian 10 men that was before the flood. Noah, and then Noah and Shem came across the flood. That's what Eber means, those who crossed over. So that knowledge with Abraham, Esau had access to that knowledge by being born in the house of Isaac. So like I said, when you say the people they named it, Josephus or Peter the Elder, all them men, them Edomites, they had access to our knowledge. They the ones behind the trickeration of it. But the Most High, the Lord of Hosts, tells us in chapter 1 of Malachi that Esau I hate.
Yes.
So these Edomites got a problem with the Lord of Hosts. That's who they usurped out of the Bible.
Yes.
And then Esau hooked up with Japhet. That's Cain's descendants.
Yes.
And Cain was sent away by the same being.
Exactly.
So they had common ground. Common ground, common hatred.
Right.
And I just showed you on the map how they mingled together when they left. When they left in 70 AD. Right here. When they left in 70 AD, they went right among Japhet. You know, and all this is the inner workings of how the Christianity came about from hatred from the Israelites. They over here, they under punishment. They over here on West Coast Africa, and they over here in our lands, and they got our records concocting it, but they concocted, and they took our God and gave us a fictitious God through synchronization. That's what we are today.
Right. And we think that, we think we lost our language, and that was something that we lost. We lost our names, we lost everything. But more importantly than that, they all came together and they knew that if they took our God and gave us a fake God, that was like they thought that would just doom us,
It did.
Yeah, I mean, it did doom us, but our God has not left us completely.
Right. And so how did they know how to do that? That's why they call Josephus the turncoat. When the Romans came, he got their last name. They gave him their last name. It's Flavius Josephus. He got the Flavian dynasty. He got their signature on his name. So what did he do? They asked him, how are we gonna usurp these people?
Right.
And he told them, get him another God. Josephus is the one behind it. And so these same Negroes now quoting Josephus.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, Josephus is king of the seminary.
Clement of Alexandria, and then it was an Edomite that presided over the Council of Nicaea. Oh, I can't think his name. It was Constantine, but the officer that he had presiding over the whole Council of Nicaea was this guy was name started with a C. I used to know it. The Caeares, something like that. Anyway, he was from Caesarea. He's from Caesarea. So what is Caesarea? That's the city that's Herod built. Edomite city. So, like I said, what people don't understand, the whole land of Israel was washed with Edomites.
Right.
They were posing as Israelites. They took the Israelites, but they was Edomites.
Yeah, purposefully.
Yeah, and so in 70 AD, just like he prophesied in Daniel chapter 11 and 14, they was gonna fall, and they failed. Just like Israelites failed and ended up on the west coast of Africa, they failed and ended up in Europe. They was the Herod's lineage was sent to Spain. That's who the Sephardic Jews are. Two manner of people, like the Most High said at their birth. Two manner of people, one stronger than the other.
Right. Now, Leonard, you were saying something about how the Greeks function. Like when they would conquer a place, they would leave people there to continue to Hellenize the people. Is that a connection to these Alexandria cities that are all over the place?
Right. That was inspired by Alexander, which is an Edomite. He was dealing with Socrates and Plato. They all faggots. They all homosexuals. And so Plato was, and like I said, the main thing you have to understand too, these people they was nobodies. So they would leave and go to Egypt and get taught by those priests of Amun in Egypt.
Exactly.
And then they come back, like they was big time teachers. So they was Alexander was a young boy, and when you understand how they go, it's an older man with a younger man. Yeah. So in the Greek culture, Aristotle went to Alexander's house and told him, I want to be your son tutor.
Yes.
So when he know what that means, he's gonna do everything with him.
They know what that means.
Right. And so he seized Alexander's mind. Right. And that's what set him on the quest to conquer the whole world. And but his main thing was what he wanted to do was he wanted to make the rest of the world like the Macedonians, like the Greeks was. They was homosexuals. Mm-hmm. So he went all over the world building Alexandrias, homosexual cities.
Right.
That's the origins of how we get San Francisco and all these new homosexual cities now.
Right.
He the author of it.
Right. And even just jumping back to their scenes really quickly, I don't know why I cannot pronounce that name. Oh yes, him. One of the rituals for the Essenes was to go to the Nile River and do something into the water.
Copulate.
Yeah. Into the water. That was one of their rituals. And so when you mentioned it today about them being gays, that's the first time I heard that they were gays. Yeah. But when I look back at their rituals, it speaks to that lifestyle.
Right, and the powers that be today, the secret society today, doing the same thing. That's the origin of it. So now you see why, and like I was saying, just like Christianity, just like then, they was getting results. For thousands of years, they was going down, copulating in the water, and then coming back and really thinking that it was the Nile River was doing what they said it was doing.
Wow.
They was getting results, and so now they got the world thinking like that.
Wow.
That's why Jesus got a pass.
Mm-hmm.
So now you say, well, what you talking about? Well, that's when the plagues came. What was one of the plagues? He turned the river red. He turned it to blood and showed him all that bull crap you've been doing, copulating and dipping in this water. And it wasn't you that doing nothing. It wasn't it was me doing it.
Right.
I put the fish in there.
Yeah.
You know, I can put blood in there and kill all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that was. That was one reason why that was one of the plagues. And then the sun, they worship the sun. When he bought a whole truckload of locusts and blocked the sun out.
Right.
See,
but
they're not understanding the objectives of the plagues.
Yes.
And so right now we're dealing with an idol.
Yes.
See, we're dealing with an idol now, and the Most High got to come back. That's why that's why he's saying what he's saying. When he raised up the whole house of Israel, David and all of them that's been dead for centuries, he's gonna raise him up, and then he said, then you're gonna know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I do this, it ain't Jesus. Then when I do this, you're gonna know why. You're gonna know who the Lord is.
Exactly.
So and then that happened then in Egypt.
Yes. When we go back to Jesus and then disciples, we see that they said one disciple was always laying on Jesus' chest or whatever. No, that's because they
John the younger. Jesus got the beard, and John is the younger. John was a boy.
Right.
That's why he was always laying on what's named chest. Right. But that's for every Israelite on his own time to figure out. Mm-hmm. I don't want to tickle your bell.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I understand why you said yesterday that even though we hear something that resembles, what Israel believed, we got to look at who is presenting it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It don't add up because, like I said, how a non-melanated man, when melanin is melanin, when you look up in the sky at night, that's what you're looking at, melanin. Mm. So how can a man without no melanin in him talking about what he's talking about.
Right.
Come on, you read it somewhere, and you wicked as hell. You ain't doing that. You ain't doing that. Like I said, you got to go somewhere and find some mushrooms, or you got to go find some acid or something and take it, and have out of body experience. You ain't having no natural out of body experience like the Israelite is, because he got the substance in him that he can do that. The Most High that he can do that.
Right.
That's the purpose he did it. What he did to Cain, so he can't have no contact with him. It's the melon out of it. Yeah.
Right.
So that's crazy.
Thank you.
Okay. So anybody else got anything? Any more comments? No more comments? Okay, well, I'm gonna offer this over red pill and blue pill to you again, right here. You can deal with deception, the blue pill, or you can deal with the hidden truth. Whichever one you want to deal with. With that being said, we're gonna close out, and now we're gonna pick this back up on Wednesday night with our third episode of Uncomfortable Conversation with a non-Messianic Hebrew Israelite. Shalom, everybody. I hope you have a good week.